Hello my friends and welcome to this video. You're gonna love it. It's useful, especially if you go in debate about the shape of the earth. So projectiles math in 5 minutes. The first thing we need to know is, or one of the most important questions that come to our mind, how do we set the angle for the projectile? What's the firing angle if we know the range and the initial velocity or the nozzle velocity? So the first thing we should do is analyze the velocity of the projectile into vertical and horizontal. Vertical velocity sine A, horizontal velocity cosine A. Now after that we're going to do the math for the flight time, and we have two ways. The green way, that's the vertical, time to reach the maximum height or zero vertical velocity, equal the initial vertical velocity divide g, the downward acceleration of the earth. So we all know that there's a downward acceleration of 9.8, let's say 10 meters per second per second. So if your vertical velocity is 100 meters per second upward, every second you're going to lose 10 meters of that speed. So in 10 seconds you don't have any vertical speed and you start falling. That's the second half of the trip. So the time of the flight equal 2 multiply initial vertical velocity divide g. Now let's put that in some mathematical form. T equal 2 v sine A divide 9.8. Now if we get the time of the flight from the horizontal axis, it's much easier. Time of the flight equal the range divide the horizontal velocity. And someone tells me we don't know neither the vertical velocity or the horizontal velocity, so how can I calculate the time? Well, you're not going to calculate the time actually. This is the way these things work. You simplify things, you start to analyze things, you put things together piece by piece, and if there's a piece you don't know its position, you just put it right there. The picture is going to be completed in a bit. So now we have this other t, and of course those two lines there equal to each other. So 2v sine A divide 9.8 equal r divide v by cosine A. Now I know this looks a little bit complicated. We don't need all these complications. All what we need is to do this math intermission. We have this equation. What we need is to put all what we know to one side and what we don't know to the other side, like so. So we have sine A cosine A equal this known value. We know the range, we know the velocity, and of course the 9.8. So remember this. Now from here we have a little bit information of trigonometry and geometry. So if this hypotenuse of this triangle is 1, then this facing side for angle A is going to be the sine of the angle, and the adjacent will be the cosine of this angle. So we have here sine A cosine A equal the known value that we have. That's the area of twice this triangle. So let's put a rectangle here. That rectangle area equals cosine A sine A. And there's something funny here, that the long side of this rectangle equals 1. And that means that the short side equals again cosine A sine A. And that's very helpful because I'm going to do this. This blue line equals cosine A sine A. Now let me put another yellow rectangle here, and you can see that this diagonal line equals 1, so half of it is 0.5. So you see the triangle between the yellow and the blue line. This is the first triangle that we can analyze in this episode, and the angle here B, we can get it. So the angle B equal inverse cosine the known value divide 0.5. Now next to that B angle, there's two angles to the left. Yep, exactly, and all of them are 90 degrees, so the angle A equal 90 degrees minus the B, and then divide by 2. So this is the firing angle. This is how you calculate it. Now if you like to put it in some mathematic form or mathematical simple form, you'll have to do some rearranging of all the stuff that we did. I could have done it here, but it could be a little bit boring and consumes some time. It's not difficult, it's just boring and consume time. So that's it. I'll, I'll be leaving a site for you to play with. Yes, this site, I'll leave a link to it. You can play with the range, nozzle velocity, and the angle and see what you can do. It could be like a game. And I also put a link to this file, spreadsheet, that I built using the same equations that I showed you. So you can test the equations. And that's it for now. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and have fun.